hockey. Yeah.
My favorite.
It's Judd's Hockey Show.
And welcome into Judd's Hockey Show. Judd, AJ Fredrickson with you. It is Tuesday, day after Christmas. Hope you all had a great Christmas. And the National Hockey League is still on their holiday break because for some reason it goes through Boxing Day, which I'm not quite sure I understand. Boxing Day is one of the great sports days of the year. So I'm surprised that there aren't games on this day, but the Wild returns to action Wednesday night against the Red Wings at the X. And Age, here's what I've got for you, okay? So the Wild is now, by my count, 10-3 since John Hynes became head coach. So what I have for you is a pie chart of turnaround. So we ordinarily like to do pie charts of praise, pie charts of blame, but I thought I'd sit down and try and quantify the players that deserve the biggest slices of credit for how much different this team has looked since the day that Dean Evason got fired, the Monday after a loss at Detroit, and now getting ready to play Detroit again, 13 games into the John Hynes era. 10-3, very much back in the playoff race, still not in a playoff spot, but they are inching closer and closer. Okay. So, and just to be clear, this is not, John Hynes is not included because his amount of pie would be far too great. And so all I'm doing is trying to quantify who deserves what from a player standpoint. And this doesn't necessarily have to be who has played best. It's also like if you were playing well under Dean, I have a couple of examples of this. I gave guys a small slice of pie because they have still maintained that. But we have seen in 4 or 5 cases some significant major turnarounds. So I'm going to start at the bottom, work my way up, stop me as I go, agree, disagree, your thoughts, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of wanted to guess as to where maybe what your thought process is. So I have my pie as well. So
nice.
I'll kind of just compare mine to yours as we kind of move along here, but I'm excited for this.
Perfect. Okay. Starting at the bottom, a little 2% chunk. And remember, this is not a criticism of the play. This actually means that this person was playing well under Dean and so gets full credit. Starting at the bottom, Marco Rossi. Now, here's why. Marco Rossi, 19 games with Dean as his coach, 6 goals, 11 assists, +2, and was averaging 16 minutes and 13 seconds of ice time. Since John Hynes took over, 13 games, obviously, 5 goals, 10 points, a +5. He has his first power play goal of the season, and he is averaging 16:10 of ice time. So he's 3 seconds less, but so he had 6 goals and 11 points in 19 games with Dean, 5 goals and 10 points in 13 games. And he's gone from +2 to a +5. So he has improved, but I never really faulted him. I thought he was playing well for Dean. So I didn't really fault him as, oh my God, his play is terrible. I've been impressed with his entire catalog of a season. So I'm starting with a small 2% chunk to Marco Rossi.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think we had seen kind of what was available from him under Dean, and this season I think it's been a big turning point for him. He's grown up, he's gotten better legs underneath him, not just emotionally or like literally he's gotten better legs, just that off-season workout. So yeah, his play has kind of been a turnaround, and he's only, I think, stepped it up a little bit under John Hynes, under this new regime. And this goes back to your point from a few weeks ago, which is there's no history between him and John Hynes. So John Hynes is coaching him and assessing him based off the player he's seeing here and now, not the previous history of the health concerns in last season where he was just getting thrown around like a rag doll, it seemed like, when he's out on the ice. So this has been a fun turnaround for Marco Rossi. And yeah, I think, what do you say, 2%? Nice little slice.
2%, small slice,
absolutely.
Small slice, because part of this is there are a few guys that deserve huge chunks.
Yes.
So 2% slice there. Another small slice, slightly more, but it's about the same. Eriksson Ek, 3% slice. Again, his stats under Dean Evason, 19 games, 10 goals, 17 points. He was even in plus minus, and at that time he was averaging 20 minutes and 22 seconds of ice time. 13 games with John Hynes, 5 goals, 7 points, plus 11.
Mm-hmm.
That's the impressive thing. 20-48. So slightly more ice time, but I would say the biggest difference is he has now been on the ice for 11 positive goals, where with Dean, he was breaking even. I think plus minus has to be taken with a grain of salt a lot of times, Age.
Yeah.
But I think in this case, jumping for a guy like this, who, by the way, gets a lot of tough matchups and nobody ever questions his work, and he's had a good year. I think what stood out to me more so than the goals or points is the 0 to plus 11 in plus minus.
Yeah, since John Hynes took over, he has not had a minus night. He's either been even, +1, or +2. So this has been an incredible stretch for Eriksson Ek. And like you said, yes, I don't value maybe plus minus as like the end all be all stat for a hockey player, but there is something to come with it for a guy that's out there a lot of the times on penalty kills when the other team is supposed to score, to not have a negative night under while he's out there being a two-way guy. This is Eriksson Ek was drafted above Brock Besser, and that was the big kind of narrative. Like when you go back, honestly, Brock Besser is now having an unbelievable season, so it's great to see that for him. Especially being a Minnesota boy. But I mean, up until this season, I think you could argue the Wild probably got the better end of that draft pick, just because of the two-way aspect that Eriksson Ek has brought to their franchise. He's out there. He's become, I think, what you can argue is a very, very, very solid second line center who he's a big body. He kind of gets under the other skin of the opposition, and maybe without saying a whole lot, which is always nice because that allows for maybe a lack of discipline the other way. So, yeah, he's been phenomenal. He's stepped it up, I think, more offensively under John Hynes than what we saw, and he's really contributing. Like he's taking the two-way nature that's been assigned to him, and he's really emphasizing that. He's still been solid defensively, and he's good on the penalty kill, and he's good in his own end, but he's hopping up, and you're seeing a little bit extra here in the offensive zone from Eriksson Ek this past couple of weeks.
Absolutely. So we're at a very small right now, 5% split between Eriksson Ek and Rossi. Now we get to the bigger chunks of pie. 20% goes to, now on a heater, Kirill Kaprizov. 20%. So Kirill Kaprizov with Dean, 19 games, 6 goals, 18 points, -10. And he was averaging 21 minutes, 23 seconds of ice time, and only had, of those 6 goals, 2 even strength goals. So 4 power play goals. But the one that stands out to me as well, again here, a -10. And that was legit. Turnovers in the neutral zone. Like that was a legit, some really bad play. So that was not a fluke. He was not trying hard and everybody else got burned. That was on him. 13 games under John Hynes. Same amount of goals, 6 goals and 13 points. So 18 points in 19 games. Now a point a game under Hynes, 13 points in 13 games. A +10 age, 21-12 of ice time. But I'll get to an important stat about that in 1 second. And he has now, in those 6 goals, 5 even strength, 1 power play. So he's flipped it. So the power play goals have gone down, but I'm fine with that. And he had a phenomenal low amount of even strength goals. That's now gone back up. The last 3 games, though. So the last 3 games, Boston, Montreal, Boston. Okay. And this is where you're talking about a flat out heater, AJ.
Yes.
4 goals, 6 points in 3 games. He's a +4. He is on the ice for 25-15 per game. 25-15. And the last 3 games is where he has absolutely been back to the Kirill Kaprizov that we know. If this heater had started, like, let's say it's for the past 5 to 6 games, I might have gotten more, but he's it's a decent chunk of pie, but he's getting 20% of the pie.
Yeah, he this past few games have been so much fun to watch, and I think that's a product of he's finding his legs again. Not sure if it was just like a super slow warm up into the season, and that's what we have now seen him get closer and maybe all the way back to 100%, but just so many good things that we've seen from him these past few games out. Starting back, I want to say against the Pittsburgh Penguins, just, seeing that old Kirill kind of come to light, the good hands, the almost like gymnast contortioning of the body, the circus acrobatics, and the turnovers have started to limit. They're still there. They're still a little prevalent. So I do want to see that cut back, but it got to the point where it was a, you see a player pick up the puck and you're like, I know exactly what's going to happen here. And that was the thing I loved about Kirill Kaprizov prior to the injury, which was, you don't know. Is he going to walk around a guy? Is he going to throw a beautiful pass across ice, whatever? It got to the point where I was thinking, okay, he's going to pick this up. He's going to skate over the blue line, try to make a move. And here comes the other team the other way. So that is limited a little bit, which is nice, but the shot seems to be back. The finishing aspect, I think, about that seems to be back, and we're seeing that now. And that is unfortunate, I want to say, for Dean Evason, just to not have that to start the season, because a guy who is a bona fide superstar not playing at that level, and now it's unfortunately for him, it seems a week after his removal, Kirill starts to kind of turn it on, and you see what that does for the team, because he is the main engine of the car. Yep. Yeah. So if he's not even turning over the engine block, you might as well just have a nice, little camper outside. So Kirill Kaprizov on like you said, a heater. I need it to continue because it's so much fun to watch this team when he's on and fun to watch. So keep it up. I like that. I like that. Not maybe worthy of a larger slice just because of how quickly it's kind of come on. So let's have that extended and then earn a bigger slice here down the road.
Exactly right. All right. 3 more slices of pie left. They will not, ironically enough, be brought to you by our friends at Livia Weight Control Centers. Because if you've eaten too much pie, guess what you need? You need to lose weight, right? You're saying to yourself, how am I going to drop weight? The holiday season has taken its toll, and I am here to tell you that this new year, Livia wants you to choose you. Join today. And here is the deal. Get your first 3 months for free. That's right. 3 months for free. You're losing weight. You're looking good. You're feeling great. It's for free. All you have to do is go to Livea, Livia.com, call 855-GO-LIVEA. This is a program, folks, that I worked on. It absolutely works. This is a program that's going to help you sustain your weight loss as well. And they are now offering breakthrough weight loss medication options as well. So choose you this new year as we get to January 1st. Livea, Livia.com is the place to start, inside or outside the state, because the whole thing can be done virtually. So if you're a JHS fan and a Wild fan in Florida, guess what? You too can join and have success. All right, 3 slices left. Another 20% slice goes to Matthew Boldy.
Well deserved.
Yes, very well deserved. This is one of the best turnarounds. 12 games. So there were, I think it's 19 games with Dean. Okay. Mm-hmm. 12 games because Boldy got hurt. If you recall, in the game he scored his first goal of the season against Toronto in Toronto. He had in those 12 games 1 goal, 8 points, -5, no power play goals, and was basically a non-factor. And we were all complaining, rightfully so. Now, he came back from injury and didn't look right still. So, like your Kaprizov statement, Age, it might have been a little bit because of that. But whatever it was, he looked like a passive passenger. And a guy Boldy size cannot afford to be those things. 13 games under John Hynes. 8 goals. 11 points. +9 from a -5. This guy has looked like a different player. This guy has looked like a completely different player. And I would say since Hynes became coach, while Kirill is hot now, I would say this has been the biggest change, because Boldy, I was genuinely concerned. Like, he looked like he was on the Jordan Greenway plan, which was checked out. And with Hynes, he has been exactly what you want from a guy like that, a power forward, a real presence. And again, 8 goals in 13 games, 20% Matthew Boldy.
that's a guy where I would have loved to be a fly in the wall for whatever conversation John Hynes had with him when he first stepped in, because one of the first few like personnel conversations he had, I remember a quote from him saying, "Bolds is a guy we got to get going." Like obviously he has kind of been watching him, and just frankly with his time away from the game between getting fired with Nashville to his hiring here in Minnesota, I'm sure he kind of has the idea of, all right, what teams could I be getting a call from here at some point, blah blah blah. And so
Right.
with how the Wild look, I'm sure it was a little bit on his radar. He, being in the same division, probably saw them last year and saw what Matthew Boldy's able to be. So it's not like he's a complete stranger. He knows what Matthew Boldy's been able to be, but he's also, with that, probably saw what you and I saw, what all Wild fans saw this early part this season, which was, like you said, a little checked out. He wasn't playing with that big frame that he has, like that power forward. And I mean, who the Wild killer, Jerome McGinley, growing up. I mean, every time they played the Flames, it's like, all right, that guy is guaranteed a goal and an assist or 2 points, 3 points, whatever, just because of the way he played the game. He was just out there each shift being better than everybody else on the ice because he had the size and the skill. Matthew Boldy, we know he's got the skill. He has the size, but now he's kind of woken up to, you know what? I'm stronger than this guy.
Right.
He had a goal. I want to say it was against the Penguins, or it was against the Penguins, where he got a pass cut out front. He was on the near side of the post, but he just threw it in reverse and just like a truck backing up, pushed Chris Letang out of the slot, made a nice little backhand feed to, I want to say, Hartman on the back door. Yeah. But he created that his own space there. Like, that was a grown man NHL goal. And that's not something I would have expected from him a month ago. I would have expected pick up the puck, see, okay, I have a guy right on me. We're going to retreat back to the corner and look for a different option and try to reset up the zone. He's now taking the strength matter into his own hands, and he's making space for himself, which is something that Jordan Greenway, we saw at times, just didn't do consistently. Charlie Coyle didn't do that super consistently. This is now what I want to see from Matthew Boldy, and whatever John Hynes did, he's now doing it also on the opposite side of the ice. I didn't expect Matthew Boldy to have that kind of defensive game to him as well. He should with the size, but I understand you're going to be maybe a 150-foot player or something like that, not the full 200. He's getting back in his own corner, getting to the dirty areas, knocking guys off the puck, and then in the same breakout, moving up ice and sending a pass across for whatever goal or whatever big chance. So he's been doing a lot more with not just his size, but his skill in this 13 games with John Hynes. So that has been so much fun to watch.
And this is a guy too who, Bill Guerin, before Dean was fired, talked openly to the media about he's really struggling, he's really scuffling. It feels like somebody, and it might be Hynes, it might be Bill and Hynes, I don't know. Somebody got this kid's confidence sky high, and I don't know how, and I don't know what. But I mean, now, he's playing like he should play and like he can play. And I don't know why short of the fact that he came back from an injury, I don't know why he didn't have a single ounce of mojo, and now it's through the roof. It's been absolutely great. So, but credit to, if it's Hynes, if it's Guerin, if it's a combination, if it's teammates, whatever it is, because this guy has a ton of skill too. To your point, he's got a ton of skill, and he's strong, and he can make plays all over the ice, and that can be scoring goals, facilitating goals. So Matthew Boldy, 20% chunk of pie. Now, the next chunk of pie is a guy, I'm going to sort of go back on what I said at the outset, because this is a guy who has played well all year, but the difference that he has made with John Hynes here, since John Hynes arrived, and with Spurgeon and Brodin out, he has to have a massive chunk of pie. Mm-hmm. And I would argue that his game has stepped up. Like, and this is from a position of being good. He was really good for Dean. I would argue he has been, if you watch him on a game-by-game basis, a star for John Hynes so far, and that is Brock Faber.
Yes.
In 19 games, so the stats are identical. 19 games with Dean, 1 goal, which he scored opening night against the Panthers in the shutout of Florida that Gustafsson got, and we'll get to goaltending. 1 goal, 8 points, +4, average ice time, this is important here, 23:08, okay? Very solid. Was playing with Brodin. Fit in. I mean, This kid came in the playoffs and played for Dean, which which in retrospect is shocking that Dean trusted a rookie to log major minutes, but Dean did. All right, but with John Hynes, Brock Faber, 13 games, 1 goal, 8 points. Scored the goal against the Canadians, a big goal. But so it's 1 goal, so 2 goals on the season. He's ticked up from a +4 to a +6. But he's gone from ice time 23 minutes and 8 seconds, AJ, to 27 minutes and 4 seconds. He's playing more than 30 minutes a game for John Hynes, not because they want him to, but because he has to regularly without Spurgeon and Brodin. And keep in mind, this team is 10-3 with a large chunk without Spurgeon and Brodin. And that is, yes, guys have stepped up. On the blue line, some guys have stepped up, okay? But number one, the guy who the battleship would be sunk without, Brock Faber. So I'm giving him a 25% chunk of pie because without him, I don't know where this team is not 10-3. I don't care if Scotty Bowman was the coach.
And the thing is, the 23 minutes he was getting prior to Hynes, that's incredible for a rookie defenseman alone. And now you're stepping it up to it's an off night if it's 29 or under for him. I'm expecting to see the number 30, 31, 32, 33, just because of how many casualties they've had, important casualties, I should say, on the blue line for this team. Brodin out, Spurgeon out. Those have been kind of the anchors for this club. And now Brock Faber has stepped in. He is just eating minutes. He's playing over half of the game. And there are very few moments in that half of the game that he's playing that I think, oh no, Brock Faber is doing something that I don't like. I see him out there on the blue line, whether it's to now man the power play, man the penalty kill, just the defensive zone draw late in the game. I know he's probably on he's running on E, but the fumes are still there, and he's going to cook to get into the corner, win that puck battle, get it high off the glass and out so that the Wild can have, that 20 seconds of buffer time before letting whoever it is charge back into the zone for a late chance. He has been so good for this team because even when he makes mistakes, he recovers almost instantly. And that's the thing that I it's fun to watch because, and that sounds weird, I don't want him to make mistakes ever. He doesn't do it too often. But when he does, it's like I'm excited to see how you're going to bail yourself out of this. And I could say that in just about other players, because other players can make mistakes and it's like, the world ends, the sky is falling, and all of a sudden it's a 2-on-0 the other way because you slipped and fell over the blue line. Brock Faber mishandles the puck, or he loses his footing, he stumbles, but he is back in position like that. It is incredible. It's like he presses slow-mo on the rest of the game and then gets back into position, and all right, let's resume. It's incredible how good he is when he is at his worst, if that makes sense. His low points are a lot of other players' high points because he's just so good with the little things of the game. It's so much fun to watch, and I know it's almost been a per show segment of praising Brock Faber, so I'm glad we could fill the quota today. Yep. But it's just incredible how a 21-year-old rookie is doing this.
It's effortless.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can put it. I've always said this. The greatest athletes do things, and you watch them and say, yeah, that looks simple. like if you watched, I don't know, Carew hit a baseball. Oh yeah, of course he did. Why wouldn't he? Simple. Yeah, but I mean, come on, I could put the bat in the ball like that, right? And then you're like, oh my God, what did he just do? And you're right. Faber will make a semi-risky play at times, turn the puck over, and just go right back and get it.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh my God, he's in trouble. Oh no, he's not. But I mean, do you know how much better he is than so many? That's the thing, is he's just better than most people. And I mean, hell, dude, he made a play against Connor Bedard here, where Bedard came in on him alone, and it was like he was playing in the WCHA again. And you just took the, he just took the puck. I mean, yeah, it is a delight to watch. It is so much fun. And I've always sung the praises, and I do think Brodin's a very solid player, a very good player. But this kid's got more skill, and which I think is the ultimate praise. Mm-hmm. Because if you watch these guys, again, you know, if you watch them on a regular basis, because they don't put up big points and stuff, but you realize the skill there and how good they are and how talented. I do see, though, that rightfully so, Faber is starting to get national recognition. He is going to get at this point Calder votes. Like,
Yeah.
people are noticing. Butchergrass just put out a tweet of him, I think, at the that a photo that John Butchergrass and Faber took at the Frozen Four in Tampa last year.
Yeah.
And then he tweeted something about Brock and the ice time. People are starting to notice when you're playing this much, the real hockey people don't ignore that. Like, it's not normal.
And the thing that I love about him too is I think similar to Wild fans and Kirill Kaprizov coming in, like, you've had some pretty good players come through the Minnesota Wild organization, but he has raised the bar for what you expect from a forward. I think you could go a year ago to date, a conversation you and I probably had after a Wild game, talking about how good Brodin is, and not that he is not good. I think Brodin is very sound defensively. He's incredibly skilled, incredibly talented. He's got, like, his hockey IQ is great, but Brock Faber so quickly has come in. It made me reevaluate my bar for, like, high class Minnesota Wild defensemen. And the fact that it's been so quick, I think that is enough in itself to just talk about how good he is. So quickly, this 21-year-old who doesn't have a full season on him is making me think, is this guy like the most complete star defenseman that the franchise has ever seen? Obviously, we're still going to wait and see how much better he can get, but it looks like he has all the tools. He's got the frame. He's got the, like, stamina to be that kind of mainstay defenseman. He's got the offensive ability. He's got the defensive ability. He can play the physical game a little bit. Like, for baseball, there's the 5-tool athlete.
Right.
The 5-tool. He seems like the 5-tool defenseman just because he can really do it all. If you have one of those graphs where, it expands out, the entire circle is filled out because he's good. It seems like in every aspect of the game that he plays. So Minnesota Wild fans are now being treated to not only a superstar offensive player, but it seems like they're going to get something like that defensively here too, if Brock Faber continues to develop in the trajectory that we're all seeing.
So 25% so far to Faber, 20% to Boldy, 20% to Kaprizov, 3% to Jules Eriksson Ek, and 2% to Marco Rossi in the pie chart of turnaround under John Hynes. That leaves us, if you're doing the math at home, and I did on my calculator on my phone because I was not certain of my math abilities. They're not good. That leaves 30%, and no surprise, that's going to go to goaltending. Now, this does fit the description of turnaround because Philip Gustafsson and Marc-Andre Fleury under Dean Evason were awful. And under John Hynes, with Gustafsson playing the main role, they've been great. Here are the stats, okay? So, in 11 games under Dean Evason, Gustafsson was 2-6-2. And I know what you're saying now. Goalie wins don't matter. Who cares? Okay. Save percentage, .881. Now, just to give you an idea, in the NHL, a save percentage below 90 is considered below average. It's considered bad. You want to be 915-ish is good. 920 or above is elite. So anything under 9, you're like, this is not workable, okay? And I'll say it again. Gustafsson before was at 881. Marc-Andre Fleury played 9 games under Dean. He went 3-4-2 with a save percentage of 87.5. So 88.1, 87.5. Under John Hynes, Gustafsson, 9 games, carried the load, 7-2, and he deserves that. By the way, he's played a huge role in 7 wins. Save percentage, 93.6. Marc-Andre Fleury, 4 games, including 2 wins against Boston, 3-1-0, 92.5. So 30% goes to goaltending, which was abysmal and has now been excellent.
Let me ask you this. Are they sharing the 30% evenly, or do you think one of them is going to get a little bit more of that 30% than the other?
Gustafsson gets a little bit more in my opinion, but but the Flower beat Boston twice, and Boston is an elite team.
Absolutely.
So I probably wouldn't couple them together if not for that. And I know that the game here last Saturday, Fleury, I think, faced like 19 or 20 shots, But the game in Boston, he stood on his head. He won that game.
Yes.
So I'm giving Fleury as a true backup now. I'm giving him part of that pie with Gustafsson because in those two games, he was absolutely huge.
Yeah, I don't know. It still baffles me just how this happened, that they've turned it around this quickly. Is it the guilt factor? Is it just, they had a little heart to heart in the goalie room all by themselves? The mental game just turned around, or what? I don't know what was going on, but it seemed like John Hynes comes in, all of a sudden, hey, we're going to start making some saves here and there that we weren't getting before. We're, like you said, not that I don't think Marc-Andre Fleury still has those games like he had in Boston where he won it all by himself.
Yep.
But at his age, I don't think you can expect that from him more than a couple times in a blue moon. So he's sort of turned back the clock. It's incredible to see him, and I think it was you that mentioned this. Just enjoy it while you can, because it's. I feel like some people, I feel like some people haven't maybe like let that sink in, that a Hall of Famer is like a first ballot Hall of Famer is playing for the Minnesota Wild, and at times you're still getting the best of what he is. So.
Oh God, yeah, and the style is so fun to watch. I mean, you're not going to see this. There ain't many guys left flopping around and making saves like that. Like that Boston game was a treat to watch.
It's Boston. It's the goalie tandem is like going from a slow and methodical, I'm going to paint the corners with Philip Gustafsson. We're going to be very, by the book fundamentals, that slider away. I'm going to pepper that. And then, the change up in the dirt. Marc-Andre Fleury with his wild style is just, I'm going to throw a 99 mile per hour fastball by you. You're not going to touch it. And I'm going to do that for 8 innings, and you're going to get maybe one hit off me. So it's a lot of fun to see that. And with Philip Gustafsson, I'm glad now with this turnaround that it's kind of put to bed any, was that one season?
Yeah.
Was it a fluke? The trade, the 1-for-1 swap for Cam Talbot going to Ottawa and him coming back. I mean, it was a pleasant surprise. I don't think anybody expected him to play as well as he did. And I expected a little bit of regression, but what you said was, I think 88% save percentage. It was bad. It was just bad. Like it was, so whatever was going on with him physically, mentally, whatever it was, I'm glad it's in the past now, or it seems to be, at least, because the goalie that they have now, what they're seeing, he is kind of that sounding presence in the back. Sometimes you're going to have a John Merrill, you're going to have a Zach Bogosian, who I think has been a little surprisingly in terms of like how good he's been with the casualties they've had being out. But
agreed, he's been really good since then.
Yes. But right. They're gonna make mistakes is my point there. And so you need the goalie every once in a while to bail you out. They should be making the stops that they're expected to and surprise you every once in a while. We weren't getting the surprises with him prior to the coaching change, and we weren't getting a lot of the, hey, you probably should have that one type of saves. He's now doing both, and I think that's been a huge change, because when you're getting that extra bailout every once in a while, that says, all right, guys on the bench, they just got us one. Let's go get him one. So Let's get in the zone. And you've seen that just with how much they've controlled the offensive zone, kind of the change in the pace of the game. They're snapping the puck around a little bit more with purpose in the offensive zone now. And it seems like that kind of planned chaos, which is my favorite type of hockey to watch, just because the Wild really haven't had that. It's been very boring, I feel like, at times here and there under Dean Evison, but now it seems like they're really just, get to a spot, find an open guy, fire the puck on net, and then we'll kind of reset and re-go. So the goaltending has been a big help. I think very well deserved for that chunk of pie.
So I think there's two things here too. One is, and it's weird, but if you look, Gustafsson got hot last year around the exact same time, Thanksgiving, and he wasn't good before then. And I remember we all thought that trade was just abysmal. And then if I'm not mistaken, for last season, finished second in the league in like save percentage and goals against.
Yeah.
But he got hot again at the exact same time, which is sort of weird. And again, that might go back to your point of too bad Dean didn't get that or get the chance, but whatever.
Mhm.
The other thing though is, and I think you nailed it. I think the other thing we're ignoring a little bit in the goaltending, and look, they have been improved, no question about it. Style of play, like the priority on moving the puck and the pace of play has to help. Like they're getting the puck out of the zone much quicker.
Yes.
Like, so I think there's a definite, the goaltender's confidence mojo way up, no question about that. But I think the style of play has helped them big time. I think what we saw under Dean, which became a lot of running around in their own zone, like they were not playing at this pace. I think the pace helps a lot, and I think getting the puck out helps a lot. And so I do think I'll go back to what I've said the entire time. John Hynes might not have like changed things in a huge way, but he changed enough systems that the style of play became significantly different, benefited certain guys, forwards, Kaprizov now, but I also think it benefited the goaltenders. And you're right on Bogosian. Bogosian was a guy they traded for. I was like, oh, okay, it's a veteran guy. Yeah, this ain't going to mean much. And I didn't think he was great when he got here, but with Spurgeon and Brodin out, and he's actually having to play more, the more he plays, the more effective he gets.
Mm-hmm.
And he's become a very, I would call him now a trustworthy veteran type of guy, the type of guy that you would hope Goligoski or John Merrill would still be, but they're really not. He's become that. Okay, so that's my pie. What's yours?
Really quick too, on the pace of play. One thing I'm noticing, this is I know we're not including John Hynes on this, but if you're going to give him any,
too much.
Yeah, exactly. But for what I saw, what I've seen from the just exiting the zone, because that's been something that I think was like almost as soon as he got a little time to actually implement it, has been a huge change. Under Dean, it was like this congested, we're all going to leave the zone together. We're all going to be a family and leave the zone together. Now I'm seeing a winger leave the zone like almost by force. I'm going to, you know what? I'm going ahead. You're going to catch up at some point. And that is going to draw the opposition to say, hey, we can't have this guy just behind us, because one good outstretched outlet pass that gets past us, he's in all alone. They're forcing the opposition to almost back up out of the zone and give them the space now, which, you have the center lane option coming through, but that's been a very refreshing change to me. Really quick, I'll just run through mine. I kind of had the same breakdown. I had 25% to the goalies shared amongst. I maybe gave like an extra 1 or 2% out of that to Gustafsson, just because I think his turnaround has been a little more noticeable. The 30% to Faber has been, he's just been a rock star. He's been such an anchor for this team. Not just the anchor, but just a calming kind of, the scented candle, so to speak, in the messy house where you take that whiff and you're like, you know what? All this chaos, everything around me, it's just fine.
Plus, he's Clark Kent too. He wears glasses. He looks like the meekest of. I mean, he looks like he should be teaching first grade out of college, right?
Did I see it right that he like has his own glasses line now?
Yeah, he just debuted one. Yeah,
really?
Yes, he's going to be captain within 3 years. Is a cat. Oh my God, he's a spokesman for the team already. He was talking in training camp, and people were like, well, he's talking because he's the only one left in the locker room. Okay, but he's willing to be the only one left. He is captain material. I think this kid's a good kid, but I think he's also incredibly smart. And I don't mean in a bad way. I mean, he's just smart, but he's Clark Kent. He takes off the glasses. He's a star.
Yes. And then, so I had 25 to the goalies, 32 Brock Faber. I had 15 each to Kaprizov and Boldy.
Okay.
Just the heaters and whatnot. I think your point about how quickly it's been for Kaprizov probably earns Boldy a smidge more, but for the aspect of this. Sure. So with the remaining 15%, I divvied that up evenly, and probably I should have taken away from Bogosian here, but I gave 5 to Rossi, 5 to Ek, and 5 to Bogosian, who, like I said, I think has been an incredible surprise, just because of I didn't expect anything from him. So he has surprised me and kind of made me eat my own words, similar in the sense of what Ryan Reeves did a little bit last year. When they traded for him, it was like, okay, how much can a locker room guy really change things? And he did. He made me somewhat a believer. And now kind of we're seeing why they didn't match any offer that Toronto did. But Zach Bogosian, I didn't expect much. I expected, a bigger body. He's kind of another 8 minutes. You're going to need a little bit of depth and size at the blue line. But he has been, I think, for what his role was expected, very solid. He's been elevated to a position now in my mind where I don't mind him going out on the ice. He has been able. He doesn't have any like world bending offensive skill, but he has, like we've seen with Jake Middleton, he's jumped up in the play a little bit here and there. And granted, I don't want Zach Bogosian down in the offensive zone below the goal line trying to, wheel and deal. But if he gets up there by a soldier of fortune and just has, that's where the time and place makes him be, I don't mind it. Like he has been a decent enough to where he does stuff and it's not going to wreck the plans of the defense. It doesn't.
He's reliable.
Yeah, he's not. He's coming in with his brushstroke and he's not changing the painting.
Right.
He's coloring in the sky, a nice little blue stroke and back out of the way. So, that's mine. But I think yours a little more in depth takes the cake. And
he's not an oh boy guy. Unfortunately, when Goligoski or Merrill go on the ice, it's like, oh boy. Bogosian's like settled down, and you're like, okay, there's a steady defenseman. I compare him to a guy like about 3 or 4 years back, Ian Cole, who bounces from team to team to team.
Yeah,
but like he was like just a steady guy. He didn't screw up a lot. He wasn't going to do a lot, but he also was going to play minutes. He was going to eat those up, and he was going to give you an effort. And look, I mean, Merrill and Goligoski, don't get me wrong, they try. There's just there's too much that goes wrong too often, I think. Yeah,
similar to the old boy. You're not having a Zach Bogosian experience. Last year with Klingberg, it was the John Klingberg ride. Like, buckle up. It's the John Klingberg experience. If I don't have to talk about having an experience with you, you're doing just fine in your role. So Zach Bogosian, keep doing what you're doing, man.
Age, great stuff. Appreciate it. Judd's Hockey Show. We're planning on being back tomorrow night, by the way, after the Red Wings Wild game. Age and I will join you. I'll be at the arena. Age will be anchoring things as always. Appreciate it. Subscribe to all the good Score North content. Flagrant Howls, Purple Daily, The Twin Show, Judd's Hockey Show. We appreciate you watching. Have a great holiday, and we'll talk to you soon.